Welcome to the Sisters Uncensored podcast, where we get into everything from childhood trauma to millennial adulting and all things in between.
We share crazy stories from the past and present to help us cope with the insanity that is our lives.
By sharing our perspectives, we hope to bring some relatability, laughter, and unsolicited advice that can help you survive the messiness of life along with us.
My name's Jessica Labita. I'm a millennial mom, wife, and marketing professional, and I am absolutely insane.
My name is Ashley Lanieve. I am a millennial stay-at-home mom, avid golfer, and too mouthy for my own good.
We are real sisters, and this is Sisters Uncensored. Take this trip with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Sisters Uncensored. I'm Jess.
I'm Ashley.
And today we are going to talk about work-life balance and what it's like to be a professional and a mom and all the things that we are expected to be as women.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I work from home most of the time. I work for a big pharmaceutical company. I've been with them for 11 years. And since COVID struck, I was home because we got basically everybody got sent home right at that time.
Yep.
And I remember being at my house trying to do my job, teach two kids how to go to school.
I don't know how that's even possible.
And cook, clean. You couldn't go to the grocery store, so you had to go shopping online basically was how I did everything. I had shit delivered because I just couldn't even find time to go to the grocery store.
Right.
But it created a time of me being home and trying to do everything, and I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom ever. When my husband and I got married, I said I'm gonna have a career. My career is super important to me. I always wanted to work, and I never wanted to be that person that stayed home like our mom did. I think that's probably why.
I think that was probably more for that part of yourself, as far as wanting to have, I think you wanted to have a career, don't get me wrong. But I think a big part of what drove you to have a successful career was seeing our mom go paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Once our parents divorced. And I mean, even dad for that matter. It's not like they were making the big bucks after that happened, because they basically killed the goose that laid the egg.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say I saw something interesting on TikTok not long ago where it said hyper independence is actually a form of trauma. Mm-hmm. And I definitely have hyper independence. So I think a big part of my career being so important to me is not wanting to be dependent on anyone, and to know that if my husband decided to ever walk out the door on me tomorrow, that I would still be okay and find a way to
I'm good.
Take care. Yeah,
I'm
take
good.
care of things. Cause
with or without.
I think because when our parents got divorced, that was a big source of shit hitting the fan, and then how the fuck are you gonna buy groceries and eat, and the house is gone, now we gotta move to this little shack, and it's what the fuck is going on, you know?
Yeah.
I just never wanted that to happen. So
just didn't want to find myself in a position where I'm gonna be on the at somebody else's mercy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I could say this. I mean, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I worked in manufacturing for a fragrance and flavor manufacturing company for 15 years. I was in the industry for about 18 years, and it was demanding. It was a lot of work, and I just hustled and worked my ass off because of that exact reason. There's never going to be a time where I'm going to be I am broke and I'm relying on somebody else.
Yeah.
It was instilled in us, I think, out of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But long story short, once I had my daughter, I had a lot of things going on between, I had my daughter in 2019. COVID struck January, February 2020. So by the time I went back to work from maternity leave, we were being sent home for COVID. My job was literally taking me from 7 a.m. till midnight. And in between, I was trying to raise a baby. It was really hard to figure that out as a new mom, doing it from home while still maintaining your career. Not really much help or support. You couldn't have nannies. You couldn't have anybody there. You couldn't bring anybody in, you know what I mean, with the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Either way, at that time, there was a lot going on personally, whatever, and with all of that on top of it. And like once that happened, it was kind of like, I have to put something down. It's too much. It's too much to have these kinds of expectations for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize what goes into being a stay-at-home mom. It's the one job that you are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. You do not get time off. I saw something on, I think it was probably TikTok, where it was like interviewing people for a position, and they're going on and on about how, okay, so listen, this is what it is. You're going to be on your feet a lot, very few breaks, if any. You'll have somebody who, might be able to step in every once in a while, but it depends. We'll have to see. What about breaks? Oh, well, you can maybe take a break if the person you're working with takes a break. And like, they're just going back and forth. And holidays, we're expecting you to work more. And even though it's going to be really overwhelming, you're expected to have a lot of positivity and get through it with a smile and all this, whatever it was. But like, when you're
and the job
envisioning
is
it
a mom, right?
In a workplace,
yeah, you're like, no way.
These people are literally like, there's no way.
Yeah,
like,
you can't pay me to do that.
Yeah, you can't pay me to do that.
No.
What are the hours? It's like going to be almost 24/7. Like, it's going to be a lot. Oh, okay. All right. You're in
Is there vacation time? Yes, but you have to take your boss with you.
No vacation.
No vacation.
No vacation time is what it's called. And I was like, by the time they were done, they're like, what if I told you the position's already been filled? And they're like, oh, okay. By billions of people. Oh, okay. Who?
Yeah, what idiot's going to take that job?
Stay-at-home moms. It's a lot of freaking work.
It is. I never wanted to do it. And I got forced into almost doing it during COVID. And I give so much credit to people because I can't. And I've always been driven as far as working professionally, right? Like, so there was a period early in my career when I had my son. So my daughter was 2.5 and my son was born. I didn't even take a maternity leave with him. I was working in my hospital bed after being gutted, like having a C-section and a kid pulled out of me. And I'm back on email an hour later because I worked for a small company at the time. And that was what I had to do. And I was worried, like, I didn't want to lose my job. And this is a very American thing too. Like,
oh yeah,
I find that like my company is a European company, and it's like in the summertime, the Europeans are like, I'm going on vacation for a month. Bye. Don't talk to me.
Peace
Where
out.
like Americans are like, hi, I have to go to a doctor's appointment this afternoon. They might remove my kidney, but here's my cell phone number, and if you need to reach me, you can contact me. It's like we have this mentality where if you're a professional, you really can't ever disconnect, and I feel like COVID made that so much worse.
That really blurred the lines.
Yeah.
I really agree. I had a death in the family and was like, I will not be available this day because I have the funeral. And do not call me. Do not bother me. I need this day. And sure enough, by 9 a.m., my phone was ringing. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard.
I think that, especially in this day and age too, a big part of the problem with working full-time and being a full-time mom, wife, house manager, whatever the hell you want to call it, and just a woman in general, I think the expectations are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're unrealistic.
They're completely
especially too
ridiculous.
When you come from a family like ours where there's like an old school Italian like mentality where it's like the man works, the woman comes, stays home, the man comes home, the woman takes his shoes off and feeds him dinner, you know what I mean? And like, that's my husband's family's mentality. That's how we were raised. And, and I'm like, I can't be that person. Like, even if I wanted to be, which sometimes I do, I don't have that energy to be that person after working a full day. Like, I can barely feed myself and piss sometimes, let alone cook a meal for everybody and then run around to all the million places we have to be. Like, it's just not realistic expectations.
That, I think, in this day and age, too, especially with a career, I think there's some sort of warped sense of entitlement where companies or managements or whatever, however you want to put it, feels that they're entitled to so much more of your time than they actually are. Like, nobody has access to me like that. Ever since I resigned from my job, No one, personally, professionally, nobody has that kind of access to
But
me.
that's because you have put those limits.
I have put that boundary up. I will
amazing.
never adjust it ever again.
And listen, I think as a professional too, my company is amazing as far as flexibility, work-life balance, right? And that's why I choose to continue to work there and do what I do, because we have the same values. But there's so many women that I speak to who's do not have that level of flexibility. No. And I can't even imagine if I had a boss or a company that was like, you must be here at this time. You only have such and such like days off, like whatever. And they don't allow for you to be a mom. Like, that's insane to me.
Right. I think, I completely agree with that. There's things as a parent that you just have to do. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Your kid gets sick at school, something like that. You got to go. You got to go. It is what it is. I don't know how single moms do it by themselves with any children. But listen, I'm doing it by myself for the most part. And I will say this, total disclaimer, I'm very blessed. I'm in a position where I'm able to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't have to work. My daughter's father and I have a good relationship that way. We worked it out when we were having our daughter, that like if I was gonna leave my job to stay home and essentially abandon
your career,
everything that I've worked for, and I didn't go to college, I don't have any kind of degree to fall back on or anything like that. This is literally everything I would be walking away from for the last 20 years. So I'm very fortunate to be in a situation where I can be home with my daughter. We don't have to worry financially, thank the Lord. You know, he's very successful and very generous as far as taking care of us and making sure that we don't go without. But I think to myself, doing the job that I do at home, and I'm a homemaker. Like that's my job. I'm a homemaker. I'm a mom.
And a very good one.
I try my best. Listen, whatever it is, I always thought to myself, whatever it is I was going to do, no matter. And this was our mentality being raised. If you were going to pump gas for a living, I was going to be the best goddamn gas pumper you were going to find.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. So whatever position you were put in or you worked your way to, you were going to be the best at it.
And you do the best you can, yeah.
And it was always the mentality of, if it ever came down to me or somebody else where you had to let one of us go, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, smart.
Like, that was always my mentality.
That's how you parent and take care of your kid.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. There's never a question if my child is cared for. There's no question of if her home is, clean and neat and she's bathed and she's well fed.
She has everything she needs,
Yeah, she's well cared for. There's not a doubt, But for anybody who has to do the full-time parent thing plus a full-time work thing, being the only income for their home.
I can't even imagine.
I can't imagine.
I know.
That's grueling.
That's why I give Lindsay so much credit for being who she became and being able to take care of Haley. And listen, it wasn't easy in the beginning for her because she was so young. So we always joke like we collectively raised her, right? But like there was a period of time where there was a handoff and she did everything. And I mean, I give her mad respect for raising that kid and paying the bills and making sure she had everything she needs. She bought her first car. Like she always had food on the table. She cooked dinners for them and she worked. Like it's hard. It's hard. It's hard with a partner.
Well, I mean, I would hope having a partner would make it somewhat easier, but I'm sure it has its own challenges in many ways.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, we have more than one kid too. So I see friends of mine who have 3-4 kids. I'm like, God bless you. I like have trouble managing 2 kids. I can't imagine having like 4 kids or whatever. That's why I didn't have any more than 2 kids.
Right.
And plus I watched how 4 kids turned out with us and it was like fucking chaos. I didn't know.
It's kind of fun.
I don't need to be outnumbered. I'm good.
Yeah. Poor dad.
I play offense. I don't want to play defense. I'm okay. It's tough though. And I'm very fortunate too, like you were saying, where like my husband has a great job. He works one of those jobs where there's not the flexibility that I have. And so he has to be in places. When COVID was happening, he had to be at work.
Right.
So like it's rough. Like he works a lot of weekends. He's, busy all the time and in long hours, and it's like you find a balance, right, if you have that other person to be able to make it work. But I can't like imagine having to do this by myself. And I will say too, like as my kids are getting older, it's certainly easier, right?
Oh yeah.
They're independent, they can take care of themselves, I can leave them, like, you know, and it does get easier. It's kind of like that stage where you're like diapers to potty trained, you're like, okay, it's one less thing I have to buy, so you kind of recover a little financially from some of that stuff,
right?
And then mentally you start to recover once they're like independent and can stay home and you don't have to really worry about them so much.
I believe that. Somebody told me, I think it was like my waxer, to be honest, but
the things you talk about.
I know, we talk about everything. I'll talk about anything with anybody, I don't care.
I always talk to my waxer because I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. We're like literally on the table.
I know. Listen, it's maintenance, okay?
Self-care.
Self-care, exactly. But I want to be walking around with a big old bush. Anyway, it's not that kind of girl. But she said she had young kids, and hers were a little bit older. They were like 7 and 8. And at the time, I think my daughter was like 2. And I was like, I am just so freaking tired all the time. I'm just so tired. And she was like, you know what? Here's what happens. Right now, you're not really busy, but you're really tired. There's a lot that, like, you have to pay attention. You're mentally just going all the time. You have to make sure nobody's sticking their finger in the hinge of a door. Nobody's touching a hot stove. Nobody's eating something, choking. Your head is filled with all of those things. When they get older, you become a lot more busy, but you're a lot less tired. Yeah. And it's because they're more self-sufficient. Yeah, exactly.
I love the quote where people say bigger kids, bigger problems.
I agree.
Right? Because now if something goes wrong with a kid in their teens or whatever, it's a little more serious, right? And I imagine even as they become young adults or leave for college, right, the problems are pregnancy, like bigger problems, like you know, and
DUIs,
like right, all the dumb stuff that happened when we were young. But like, I don't know, it's crazy. Like to me that
I remember when I turned 18, Dad said to me, like, he sat me down and he was like, I just want to let you know,
you can now go to jail.
There are serious consequences to whatever you do now. Like, just so you know.
Because you're like, motherfucker, I never got caught in the past, I ain't getting caught now.
Well, he knew we were both, he knew we were both, like, mouthy fucking psychos. Like, let's be honest. I mean, we'll get into, like, how we treated our poor stepmother when she came into the picture. That's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day. But like we were a little wild. We were out of control. Yeah. We were a little out of control.
But that was circumstantial, right? Like I feel like if our parents stayed together and our home was what we were trying to make it be for our children today, regardless of work, not working, whatever, like that changed us as human beings.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we're better for it, right? But going through it, you don't realize it, which is why we can sit back and reflect on it now and sort of laugh about it.
Right.
But like during that time, I'm like, oh my God, if my kids ever do any of the stuff that I was doing, like I will never not pay attention to allow that to happen. Like I'm always going to try my hardest, but like I guess I can't say never.
I don't know if those types of things even happen anymore. Like when I talk to your daughter, she doesn't seem to be anywhere near like in the realm of things that we used to do at that age.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just the change in the times. I don't know. Or because
it could be.
You're very present. I don't know.
I hope it's that. That's what I tell myself.
I hope it's a change in the times because we were a little wild.
I don't know. I feel like it's not.
We weren't bad. We were just a little wild.
I think when you like look at the news and like stuff that's going on today, like, I don't know, kids are just as bad and crazy.
Yeah, I think
the difference is everything is captured on social media, right? So they're more cautious.
Or recorded.
Yeah. Because everything ends up on for everyone to see, so you have to be a little more careful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in this day and age with kids, you got to worry more about like school shootings. With us, it was like a kid made napalm.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh my God, yeah, I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, in the lab.
Yeah, and like the news came. It was like a whole big
I remember.
The Jolly Roger cookbook. That's what they used to make it.
What the hell is that?
It was like a bomb building cookbook that like taught you. It was a book, I think, and they bought it or got it somehow and made napalm. Yeah,
I remember when they made napalm. I remember the kid who did it.
I do too.
It was a little odd.
Nah, they're good. They're fine. Whatever.
What the hell was he thinking? Whatever. This is another
I think
day.
they were kids. Like, I don't think they
They
realized.
were in 7th or 8th grade.
They were in, I think we were in 7th grade. I don't think they realized the severity of what they were doing.
Of what
They were
napalm
just
is?
dumb. Yeah, like they were
I mean, let's be
nerdy, like
honest.
boys.
We didn't know what napalm was until they ended up on the news.
Right.
So
Exactly. Truth. Oh
all
my
right,
gosh.
fair enough.
I will say though, at least like regarding technology and stuff, I'm grateful for like a lot of the shit that happened during COVID because it made being a working mom and like being able to go to work and take care of my kids easier. Like technology as far as like if I need a sandwich delivered to my house, I push a button. If I want groceries, I push a button. If I want wine, I push a button. I pay someone to come and clean my house now because there's like so much that has happened where I'm like, I need to let certain things go and not feel bad about it. And I don't care like if people are judging me. It's like, this is how I have to live my life to do the best that I can.
I was going to say, I think that's a really good point. Like anybody who works, isn't a parent, who is just out trying to do their best and is out hustling, and whether it's, like I said, being at home or going to an office or juggling both or whatever, I think everybody needs to give themselves a little bit of grace.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and I'll be the first one to say, like, I'm hard on myself. I know I am. I don't like to fail. And it's very humbling when you have to give yourself that grace.
Agreed.
It really is. It's hard.
And wine. I'd say wine really helps.
Let me tell you something. I make no apologies for my drizzly deliveries. You got that? None. I said none. All right. Or putting my phone on DND. All right. If I don't want to answer somebody's call, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
If I don't feel like returning text messages, I'm not doing it.
No.
I mean, I'm respectful of other people's time, but at the same time, like, I'm fucking tired, man.
Yeah, but it takes like a certain mentality to get to that place where you can let that shit go, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone can. And I think if there's any point in this conversation today, it's to say like, we come at things from two totally different perspectives, phases in life, right? I'm working my ass off, 2 jobs. I do all this charity shit, sitting on a board for this and that, right? I'm constantly going. I do not stop.
Yep.
You are constantly going and do not stop. You don't do half the shit that I do, but the job you're doing full time is just as demanding and chaotic, if not more so, than the 10 things that I'm doing.
Right.
And it's like, either way, you need to give yourself grace, to your point. Like, sometimes you can't do it all, and it's okay.
It's okay to
And I think it's
sometimes
important,
just stop.
to take a break. I think going back to like our previous episode with taking care of yourself and like self-care and mental health and whatever you need to do, praying to God that you survive the day sometimes. Like, whatever you have to do to get through it.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's hard. It's a hard lesson to learn. And, like
And
I
it
said,
takes a village, right? So like, again, collectively raising Haley, we say that now, but my children are being collectively raised by everyone around me because you can't do it alone.
I completely agree. I can tell you this. When I was probably going through the hardest point in my life, like when especially being a new mom and like trying to figure that out and trying to work and dealing with COVID and anything else that was going on, it was my family and my dear friends that like forced me to take time to take care of myself. Like, and I don't mean like made me check myself into a mental institution, but we're like, it's okay for me to take your daughter for the night, so that you could just have the night off.
Right.
And I always felt guilty. I was like, she's my responsibility. I can't put her, you've lived your life, Mom. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to take her. But it physically and mentally was breaking me down so much. It was such an overload that if I didn't have you, Dad, Mom, family, friends, pushing it on me to like force me to take breaks and to give up, like that stubbornness in a sense, you know what I mean?
Control, be able to do it all, right? And be the perfect mom.
Exactly. Like it would have eaten
but
me
isn't
alive.
it great that once you kind of let that go, you let it almost go forever, and now you're like, I'm good. Like it's okay for me to take time. It's okay for me to take care of me because I can't be the best me for everyone else if I'm doing this constantly. I need time for myself.
I completely agree. 100%.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to learn, especially
it's
as
a hard
woman.
balance. And it's also one of those things where, like, I don't know, like, this is maybe just me, but I'm always in the mindset of I would never want anybody to think I'm taking advantage of them.
True, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that comes from being taken advantage of, probably.
Yeah.
So, like, when I think back to when I was working, I knew I was taken advantage of plenty of times. Like, like I said, if I'm at a funeral and I'm telling you I have a funeral today, do not call me.
And you're still calling.
And you're still calling me. There's no boundaries.
Yeah, no.
You know, so it's like at a certain point, I think you are hypersensitive to that.
Yep.
And but you learn the balance of, like, letting somebody help you.
Yeah.
You know, and it feels good to help people.
And I think for all the stories we tell about our crazy family, and some of them do not fall into this category at all as far as helpful in any way. They make more trouble than good, right?
Facts.
The majority of our family are fucking awesome.
Amazing.
And we
would be there
I'm
on a
so
dime.
blessed that we have this extended family and our even immediate family, because our kids have so many cousins. It's so nice. Like, it's such an amazing way to grow up and to have this big support system behind you where not everybody has that.
Agreed.
And it's hard, you know, even harder for people that don't.
Yeah.
I'm glad we do.
Yeah, me too. We're lucky.
For sure.
God is good.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say also, it's not fair to demand all of that shit from us.
Yeah, it is not fair.
It's not fair.
No.
It's not fair. I like the old school mentality of having somebody at home. I think that's good for kids. That's my opinion. I like to have a parent at home.
Yeah, I could never be that human. But again, this is all based on trauma. So maybe I could be that human if shit that happened didn't happen.
I'll tell you what. The second I walked away from corporate life, and my corporate life was much different than your corporate life because it was a ridiculous red tape scenario with everything that you did. A lot of hypocrisy, things like that. Like, that's my mentality of corporate life to this point. And I'm like, absolutely fucking not. You'll find me on Feet Finder before I ever do that.
Yeah, no,
mark my words.
I am so blessed to work for a company that gives me grace and flexibility. I really am.
Absolutely. That's a gift.
Yeah, it really is. But it's hard to understand too, like, people who don't have that. I'm like, why would you work for somebody that doesn't treat you this way? Like, and I guess that's a good part about it, is that knowing that there are organizations out there that support all of this.
Well, hopefully it gives people hope.
Yeah, and I think you're going to start to see a lot of that turning in the future, because I don't think that this Gen Z is going to take it.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, and this is our kids.
Like it.
So it'll be interesting.
Listen, I shouldn't be working when your kids are working.
No.
I should never have to do that. That would be really sad.
I would hope not.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm already so tired. Please, don't make me do it.
No.
Whatever. Again, if you want to see my feet pics, just DM us.
They're expensive.
Girls got Botox to pay for. Hi-oh.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We're Sisters Uncensored. Follow us on social. And we will see you soon.
Next week.
Next week, yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.